Hello folks! Now while I don't normally make a video just to plug a game, when I found out that pretty much my favorite shmups, the Tale of Alltynex trilogy, that is Kamui, Reflex, and Alltynex 2nd, were being localized, I decided to make an exception, especially since some of their other attempts at promotion fell through. But before I praise vertical shmups, well, these vertical shooters, I'm going to have to bag on vertical shooters a bit. The problem with vertical shooters, those who develop them, and those who play them, is that they've become about at least as incestuous as the Habsburgs. Hardcore shooter fans demand ever more hardcore shooters from developers, and more hardcore shooters are made, vertical shooters especially, which drive away the less hardcore fans, thus leaving out any voices of dissent, which means the only people that devs have for feedback on their shooters are people who have already invested a great amount of time and skill and so on, meaning that there's really no almost no vertical shooters that have been developed for people who are not part of the hardcore shooter crowd. And like any community that sustains itself through inbreeding, the hardcore shmup community has acquired certain derangements. Oh, the Toho games and Mushihime-sama are easy. Easy? For who? Compared to what? Takeshi's Challenge? Being an actual fighter pilot? This skewed view of difficulty has really impacted vertical shooter development from both ends, so that the people who develop these games and the people who play them are, aside from a couple of companies like Cave, generally members of the hardcore shooter community themselves. So they're designed by and for people who have a rather distorted sense of what constitutes difficulty and so on. Thankfully, there are a couple of indie developers that buck that trend, and Cider Scheme is one of them. Because, and this is the praise part, the Tale of Alltynex games are largely still skill-based, but they're generally based on intelligent use of the tools the games give you. Because in all of these games, there is a semi-recharge-based but otherwise unlimited way in each game for the player to just say no to bullet patterns. So using your tools right can actually negate the need for an intense twitch factor. Of which most vertical shooters have become absolutely notorious for in the past decade or so. Now, while it doesn't necessarily completely negate the need for a twitch factor, these aren't turn-based shooters. Intelligent use of one's tools in these games goes a long way to closing the gap. So, there is a lack of a problem of the seemingly impenetrable wall of purple that seems common in a lot of vertical shooters. It's still challenging, but it's not as, horrendously intimidating. Which is also good, because the less intimidating the game is, the more people feel they can play it, and will likely even put more effort into doing well. For example, while I've made some mistakes here, mainly attributed to the fact that I was doing this too early in the morning, even looking at the recording, it doesn't look like that bad of a game, even with all of the experience I've had with the Alltynex games. Another thing is that Cider's game didn't really feel the need to try to denigrate those who play their games who aren't a member of the hardcore shooter crowd, because there's no real game content that's locked behind some kind of gate or other, like you have to play on this difficulty or above to get the true ending, or you must beat the game with only one continue. Now, continuing doesn't affect that, difficulty doesn't affect that. Anyone who wants to put the time into beating the game at her comfort level, regardless of, people who are willing to put in the effort at whatever comfort level of difficulty they prefer, is allowed to see all of the stages, all of the bosses, the true ending, and all of that sort of thing. Which makes these games flexible, and flexibility is really all that people ask for from games. By the way, this is probably one of my favorite vertical shooter bosses. I don't normally play machine-based shooter games. The Tale of Alltynex trilogy is pretty much the only one I play aside from Ether Vapor, which is also awesome for largely the same reasons as this. And that's really all I have to say about the Tale of Alltynex games. I may do a full playthrough of all three once they come out, which is actually going to be pretty soon. They're releasing on like June 6th or so. Well, anyway, that's about the end of the demo. Check out New Media if you want to try the demos for Alltynex 2nd and Kamui, and I will be seeing you later. Bye.